some heroes got buffed, some got nerfed, and some definitely got burned. Welcome to this week's Advance Server patch. First up, big changes to roaming boots. If you're using Conceal or Dire Hit, you will no longer gain golden experience when your nearby teammate kills minions or creeps. Instead, you only gain resources when you deal damage to enemy heroes. Watch this. No resources when the team clears the wave. But if I poke an enemy hero, boom, I get gold and EXP. So you'd want to look for enemies and attack them if you're using Conceal and Dire Hit. This effect has a 15-second cooldown. Now for Encourage and Favor, nothing changes. You still gain resources from nearby minion and creep kills. So keep this in mind because these roaming effects will have different ways of earning resources. If you're running Conceal or Dire Hit, be aggressive and look for hero damage. If you're using Encourage or Favor, stick with your team while they clear minion waves. Next, Encourage gets a new effect. It now gives 20 hybrid defense to nearby allies. That's huge! That's basically giving your whole team the tankiness of 20 stacks of Thunderbell. But remember, they've removed all the bonuses like extra attack and attack speed. Encourage now focuses purely on defense, nothing else. Moving on is the Fighter Emblem update. It no longer gives 12% spell vamp. Instead, you now get 10% hybrid lifesteal. This is a big buff for attack speed fighters, as well as anyone who uses a mix of skills and basic attacks. Next is Ice Retribution. The movement speed it steals has been reduced. This means less slow for the enemy and less bonus movement speed for you. Now let's move on to the heroes with big adjustments. First up is Leomord, and this is a big shift in how he deals damage. They removed his ability to crit low HP enemies. Instead, he now has to build energy to trigger a critical hit. He gains energy every time he hits an enemy, and once the bar is full, his next basic attack is a guaranteed crit. That hit also heals him for 20% of his extra max HP. Also take note, Leomord's basic attacks cannot crit normally, even if you buy crit items. Every 1% crit chance is converted into 1% crit damage instead. So the only time he can crit is when his passive is fully charged. Looks weak? Not really, because when he's in ultimate form, he gains 200% more energy per hit, and even more energy the more enemies he hits. So if you hit 5 enemies at once, boom! Full stacks instantly. Pair that with his ultimate and he can actually crit very consistently. To balance all that power, they've removed the shield from his skill 1. I also tested Golden Staff and it does not give extra energy per hit. So yeah, Leomord's mechanic is very different now. He no longer relies on low HP enemies for damage. No more cleanup assassin. He's now a sustained bruiser with time crits. Lolita is up next and she can no longer give shields automatically just by walking near her allies. From now on, the shield only applies to herself. But if you want to shield your teammates, you'll need to cast a skill like this. To balance the change, her skill 1 cooldown is now 2 seconds shorter. And her ultimate now has a stronger slow effect and higher damage. So in short, less passive shielding but much stronger active skills. Rafaela is next, and her skill 2 now heals only one ally. As you can see, only one Leela gets healed. In the old version, everyone near her received healing, so this is a big change. But in exchange, the heal itself is now stronger, thanks to better scaling. Her ultimate also gets a big buff. The cooldown in the late game is way shorter, dropping from 34 seconds to just 20. To balance it out, the stun duration is slightly reduced by 0.2 seconds. So overall, no more group healing. Only the lowest HP ally gets the heal. But her single target support and late game presence are much stronger. Now let's take a look at the buffed heroes. Harley's ultimate cooldown has been cut in half, from 30 seconds down to 15 seconds. In exchange, the explosion damage now only deals 30% of the damage the enemy took. So yes, less burst, but you can use the ultimate twice as often. And if your teammates follow up, the total damage can still be huge. Zitian's skill 1 will now hurt more in the late game. Its mana cost is lower and the cooldown gets a 1 second reduction. So overall, more damage, more spam, less mana hungry. Sicilian gets a nice buff for skill 1. The mana cost increase per cast is now lower, letting you use the skill more frequently. Julian's damage against jungle creeps is increased by 10% on his enhanced basic attacks. This means faster jungle clear for Julian players. All of Suyo's skills now have shorter cooldowns, from 8.5 down to 8 seconds. Plus his skill 1 now has higher base damage. Additionally, the whole version of his skill 2 now has stronger healing effect. It's a triple buff for Suyo, shorter cooldown, higher damage, and better heal. Clint's ultimate now recharges 1 second faster. And the delay between each ultimate shot is also shorter. Huge difference, right? This lets you spam the skill pretty fast. To balance, they've removed last week's buff that converted attack speed into cooldown reduction. Tigreal's skill 2 now charges much faster. Watch this comparison between the advanced and the official server. Catching enemies off guard will be way easier. On top of that, his ultimate gets a huge damage increase. Almost plus 600 damage at max level. That's gonna hurt, right? Johnson's ultimate no longer scales with magic power. Instead, it now scales with defense stats. So the tankier you build him, the harder the car hits. No need for Holy Crystal. Kufra gets a shorter passive cooldown, from 12 seconds down to 8. This means more heal and more poke damage. Nana gets adjusted. Her skill 1 damage is increased, but in return, her skill 2 damage is reduced. Overall, still a buff. Skill 1 is spammable, so more uptime equals more damage output. Zushin is also adjusted. The throw damage of her skill 2 gets higher base damage, but it comes with lower max HP scaling. This means her damage is now more balanced against both high HP and low HP targets. And now, let's move on to the Nerfed Heroes. Granger loses 20 base damage on skill 1, and the skill no longer deals bonus damage to minions and creeps. So yes, lower farming for Granger players. Harry's enhanced basic attack damage is nerfed with a lower magic scaling. This will hurt his late game damage, but in return, the shield from his second skill can now stack up to 3 times. That means higher shield but with less late game damage. Fredrinn's skill 1 now deals weaker damage to non-hero units. This is gonna make his jungle clear much slower. Cici's up next, and the bonus movement speed from her passive is lowered from 0.75 down to 0.5% per stack. On top of that, her skill 1 also gets a minus 10 base damage. They're nerfing Cici to the ground. And lastly, we have Hayabusa. The devs reduce his second skill's travel distance by 20%. Honestly, I'm clueless about this one. I compared the skill's distance, but it's all the same. What am I missing here? And that's it for this week's patch. The roaming section is getting a huge shakeup with its farming effect. Thus, we're getting a lot of adjusted heroes, which should make the meta pretty interesting. So which hero are you picking on the next update? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.